Guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we are back discussing Mason Mount. And the reason we are talking about Mason Mount is because everybody's talking about him and his performances so far for Manchester United. A lot of people are concerned. People are saying it was the wrong signing, too much money spent, misprofiled, blah blah blah. A lot of concern over his first two performances. And of course now, literally before pressing to record this video, I have found out that he is injured probably for the next 2 games. He's certainly going to miss the Forest game. He probably will miss the Arsenal game as well. So maybe that's a bit of a spanner in the works for this video. However, what I want to talk about today is why I'm not too worried about Mason Mount just yet, and why I don't think you should be either. So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order. So when discussing Mason Mount at United so far, there are a couple of things we need to consider. With the big thing being that Mason Mount, I don't think, has hit the heights, to be fair, but no one in the team has. The team performances haven't been very good, particularly against Wolves. The side really struggled, and the structure at the moment, for one reason or another, seems a little bit all over the place. So it's going to be difficult for any player to excel in that sort of format. What you've also got to consider is this is a new player playing in a new team, trying to understand new dynamics, new chemistry with different footballers. It's always going to be difficult. It's laughable that I even have to make this video. No footballer should be judged after 2 games. No way. Absolutely no way. Give him 6 months, then we can judge him. However, what we can see is that, yes, at times the structure is a problem, and Mason Mount is therefore struggling. However, what I thought we saw during the first half against Spurs the other day, where he played a little bit deeper, was signs of promise. And we're going to go through some clips from that game where I actually think he was pretty decent. Now, like I said, he played a slightly deeper role in the first half of that game, almost in like a 4-2-3-1 alongside Casemiro. And what he was good at was getting the ball in this sort of area here, and particularly in transition, then kind of linking the midfield to the attack. Whereas last week against Wolves, we saw big open gaps and a lack of connection between players. Mason Mount done a really good job of dropping into these areas and then either getting the ball on the half turn or quickly playing a forward pass out to the winger or moving side into Bruno Fernandes. Mason Mount was kind of that link player. Now, yes, again, unfortunately, in the second half that went out the window. He started to push much higher again, Bruno Fernandes was doing the same, Casemiro was doing the same, and it left United with a really poor system, and we all know what happened in that second half. United were really poor. Mason Mount was part of that. However, in the first half, I still think we saw glimpses of what is to come from him as an 8. And I'm doing this video also because someone asked in the comments the other day, can Mason Mount be an 8? I think we've seen glimpses already that he can be. So let's check out some of those instances against Spurs the other day in the first half using Once Video Analyzer Pro. Really good video analysis software. You guys can check it out using the link in the description down below. As always, I really do highly recommend it because it allows us to do a lot of coverage like this. Here we can see Mason Mount 4 minutes into the game against Spurs, and already we can see that he's picking up a deeper position. We've got Casemiro here, Mason Mount a tad deeper, but realistically he's playing alongside him. What he does here is receives the ball well from Luke Shaw, kind of absorbs the pressure, drops the shoulder and goes the other way. We can see that all of the Spurs player kind of thought this was going to be the pressing trigger because they thought Mason Mount was going to play the ball backwards this way. But instead he receives the ball on the half turn, plays a 1-2 with Casemiro, and this allows him to move the ball forward. He carries the ball forward a couple of yards and then releases the pass. It's really simple stuff, but it's something which not many United players can do currently. The particularly important thing here was the fact that he's getting on the half turn here and then playing the 1-2. That's the important part of the job that he's done here, because not many United players are capable of doing this. And in general, I think he had a good first half the other day. We've got another clip of him in possession here. Bruno Fernandes is going to come and crunch into the tackle. We can see once again Mason Mount is a little bit deeper in the midfield. The ball comes to Mason Mount. Again, it's pretty simple. He receives the ball, turns away from pressure, and then plays the ball forward. It's nothing particularly complicated, but it is effective ball progression, and he is being that link player. We can see it once again here. Marcus Rashford drops in to kind of link the play, hold the ball up, bring others into the game. Mason Mount is the first receiver. What does he do? He keeps it nice and simple, gets the ball and switches it out to the other side in space. What we've seen a lot of from United in the first 2 games of the season is kind of hopeful forward passes which are pinged into areas which are just far too ambitious and losing possession. What we can see already in these first three kind of clips here is Mason Mount just keeping it a bit simpler. This is really important 8 play. Do I think this is really basic? Yes, absolutely. But I think that's what United need. Someone who keeps it basic. The clips we've seen so far, this is stuff that Casemiro doesn't do that well. Bruno Fernandes also doesn't do this stuff that well. It's stuff which, to be fair, Christian Eriksen done well last season, but United had lacked it outside of Christian Eriksen. Mason Mount has been bringing it in this half, in my opinion. We've got him again here, in line with kind of Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes in this instance. Last week he was too high, he was up in these areas up here, but instead he's dropping in to receive the ball. Again, he uses his first touch well to take the ball away from his opponent, protecting the ball. We can see the opponent has taken the step this way, whereas Mason Mount has moved the ball this way. It allows him to just buy himself half a yard of space, get the ball out of his feet, and pass the ball wide to Luke Shaw. His work isn't done there though. He then gets back over to receive the pass from Luke Shaw again, and just plays a nice little simple 1-2 before making the movement forward. Again, it's incredibly basic stuff. All footballers should be able to do this, but typically the United players don't. And this is why I think Mason Mount can play as an 8, because he's doing that kind of simple ticking the ball over sort of work here. And in this next clip, this is the best one in my opinion, in terms of in possession. We can see once again he's dropped really deep. This is about 35 minutes into the game. He's dropped into the double pivot with Casemiro, with Bruno Fernandes quite clearly much higher up the pitch. He's going to drop in, receive the ball from Luke Shaw, and we can see that he's going to receive pressure. However, being an intelligent player, and a player who has the potential to maybe become press resistant, he draws the pressure in, he has a good first touch, he gets the ball away from his opponent to protect the ball, he then has the speed and the agility to quickly get on the turn, carry the ball forward, drive across the pitch, before then playing a nice simple pass out wide. Again, it's quite basic what he's done with the pass, but the weight of pass is good, and he's moving the ball from areas where United are congested into areas of more space. Like I've said, those are quite simple things really which Mason Mount has been doing. However, it's still really effective. It keeps the ball for your side. Like I keep saying already in the early weeks of the season, United play forward too much. Luke Shaw's looking for balls over the top. Lisandro Martinez is doing the same. Wan-Bissaka, Rafael Varane, kind of technically limited. Casemiro always looking to play the ball forward. Bruno Fernandes always looking to go forward. Garnacho, poor at the moment. Antony, poor at the moment. Rashford really uninvolved at the moment. Mason Mount just getting the ball and keeping it for his side is something we need to see more of. I think he's a big part of why United played well in possession in that first half against Spurs. I've said several times I think United were by far the better team in that first half, and I think Mason Mount was a large part of that. And in terms of outfielders, I think he was the best player against Spurs for United in that first half. Now, what does he need to do more? What does he need to do more of? Basically, what he's doing well already, we need to see it a lot more. In this game, he didn't have enough touches. Now, to be fair, that was the case for the whole left-hand side. Lisandro Martinez had the least touches out of outfield players. But Mason Mount needs to kind of develop it into his brain. It needs to become second nature for him to drop deep and receive the ball. Like I said, in that second half against Spurs, he then pushed much further forward, lost all control of the game, wasn't linking the midfield to the attack, and was therefore poor, if not anonymous really, in that second half. However, if he can kind of do what he done in that first half on a more regular basis, drop in more frequently, offer that pass, check his shoulder to make sure that he can get on the half turn, I think there is potential there for him to become an 8. And that is kind of mainly what I wanted to discuss today. This isn't a particularly in-depth video. We're not particularly, it's not even a really long video. But just what I wanted to show was that I think in the early weeks we have seen glimpses of what Mason Mount can do moving forward for this United team. He's getting a lot of criticism online. Ignore it. If you are one of the United fans calling for him to be out of the team or saying it was the wrong signing, you're looking at football in the wrong way. He's a Premier League footballer 2 games into a season. Give him time. Casemiro took ages to break into the team last season, and then by February everyone was saying it was the signing of the season, best player in the Premier League. So give Mason Mount a little bit of time, give him time to adapt to new systems, give time for his teammates around him to get to the fitness level which he individually is already at, and you will see more better play from Mason Mount. Like I said, I think kind of in terms of habits, he needs to be dropping into these areas on a more frequent basis. At the moment, in his old habits in the back of his mind is to get forward, and when the team kind of loses control, I've said this before, when footballers fatigue and lose control a little bit, they often go back to old habits. At the moment, for Mason Mount, that old habit is to then push forward. It needs to be trained into him over time that your habit is now to drop a little bit deeper. Be that link player between picking the ball up in these deeper areas and then moving the ball forward. If he can do that on a more regular basis and do what he showed he can do in that first half against Spurs the other day, then I genuinely think Mason Mount will be completely fine. What United need now, though, is another player, another midfielder, so that when it isn't quite right for Mason Mount, you have a replacement from the bench. Is that Ryan Gravenberch? I'm not sure. Is that Sofyan Amrabat? I'm not quite sure. But United need to find another player, another midfielder in the squad who can be there for Mason Mount, so he doesn't get shoehorned into games and systems which tactically don't suit him. Play him when it is the right occasion, and you're going to see a really good player. I genuinely do believe that. So, basically, just give him time now. I think that is pretty much all I have to say for today's video. Like I said, we've only seen 2 games of him, so we can't discuss it in too much detail, and it's far too early to judge him. My concluding thought would be just to give him some time, give him some trust. He's of course now picked up that injury, which is a little bit annoying. I think Forest could have been a good game for him to kind of get up to speed a little bit, but unfortunately that won't happen. So for now, we just have to wait and see what happens with him. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Like I said, I genuinely believe he'll be fine. Is he the player that I would have signed this summer? No, absolutely not. Do I understand why Erik ten Hag did buy him though? Absolutely. And now you have to support him and back him. If Ten Hag uses him in the right way, I think there's such a good player in there, and I think it will end up being good business. But apart from that, that's all I have to say for today's video. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.